Recording in progress. That voice cracks me up. Today, what I wanted to talk about are two things. The first thing I want to talk about is just the self-love journey. And the second thing I want to talk about is boundaries. I like both of those topics, and I feel like both of those topics are going to be lifelong lessons for me. And if I get it 100% right, I guess I've mastered life, but I don't foresee that happening in this lifetime of mine. Maybe some of you have gotten there, and I'm jealous and envious, but for me, it will be a lifelong lesson of self-love and creating healthy boundaries. The first one, self-love, what I wanted to talk about is just this concept that really, truly self-love is an inside job. Because the interesting thing that I'm experiencing, especially trying to put myself out there publicly, is that I'll have some people come in and say really nice and positive things, and it makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. And then somebody will come back and say something kind of negative. And then what do I do with that? So I'm kind of grappling with this like thing that I've always really known, but I keep having to return to over and over again, is that self-love has to be coming from just the inside, because any external sources that you're using to validate your worth are they're faulty hooks that you're going to keep hanging your hat on. And sometimes it'll be stable because they'll reflect back what you want positively. And sometimes the hook's just going to break off and the hat's going to fall because people change their mind. People don't resonate with what you're saying. And so really truly learning to love yourself and accepting yourself. And this doesn't mean that you're perfect. It means that you're learning to accept your limitations, your imperfections, everything about you, things that don't feel so bright and sunny and might feel a little bit more dark and shadowy. And really learning how to embrace that part of yourself and fill yourself up, fill your own cup up. So that's something I've been thinking about quite a bit, is just how to not be jerked around on the external need for validation, because it's going to be a bumpy ass roller coaster ride if one is trying to use outside sources to show their worth. So that was one thing that I was thinking about today. And then the other thing was just boundaries. And again, this will be something that I'll be navigating my whole life. And I'm just curious what you feel like are your boundaries. What do you do to keep yourself energetically safe? Is that a foreign concept to you? Do you even think that sounds weird to have boundaries? And so, for instance, a boundary for me is that I need to know when to shut up shop when it comes to social engagements, because while sometimes I may come off extroverted and friendly and, loving to talk to people, I have to dip my toe into social engagement, and then I need to quickly dip my toe back out, because even though I love talking with human beings, I also get very drained energetically when I'm in big groups. And I can't handle it for a very long period of time. So I have to give myself permission to leave parties early, to leave parties early is a big one. Say no. That's another one, is like say no to like big events where I'm just like, oh no, like that sounds hellacious to me. And I just can't put myself in that social setting because it'll just fry my nervous system. That's another boundary that I've learned to be much, much better with. So I'm just curious what you do to protect yourself energetically and keep yourself safe. One thing I think about too is like a really good technique for kind of creating boundaries is this idea of like a self hug, where you're just kind of squeezing and like mapping yourself out. And so you're really touching into where your body starts and ends, the container that you live in, and then also separating yourself from somebody else. Because some of us are very, I'm gonna say this wrong, have a lot of empathy, but I want to say empathetic. There we go, that's the word. Empathetic. And we take on a lot of people's energy. And that energy is not necessarily ours. And we have to like put some kind of separator, some kind of divider, some kind of container that separates my beingness from your beingness. My intuition about why sometimes that's difficult for people is there is that thought that we are spiritual beings having a physical experience. And so if people tend to be more in that like spiritual realm, it's really easy to time travel outside of your own body and put yourself in somebody else's shoes, feel themselves energetically. But for me, what I found is I've had to make like a concerted effort to actually like create that physical separateness between me and somebody else's energy, whether it's positive or negative. Like if it's negative, that's not good. But sometimes if I go into like even other people's like excited energy or like really emotional energy, even if it's positive emotion, like I can just like enmesh into that. And that sometimes isn't great either. So just this idea of like feeling your container, giving yourself a little squeeze from all the way from your head down to your toes is a really great way to start creating a boundary between you and the outside world. So that's just a suggestion. And that's all I think I want to share today on this hot, sweaty Costa Rica day. I will say after all my videos bitching and moaning about the crazy humidity and how freaking hot I was in the Guanacaste province, it's one of those things that in hindsight, I realized that if I was that hot, my computer was that hot. And my computer is toast. I actually had to have a Tico look at it. And just to show the pura vida way of life, I told this gentleman that I did not have a car to bring it into his shop. And he just said, I'll drive over and pick it up. I was like, that shit don't happen back home. And I was just so grateful. I was like, this is just so nice to have that level of just kindness. So it was fantastic. So I don't have a computer right now, which is kind of cramping my style, but it's also good for me. So to not work and, strive and do all the things that has just been so deeply ingrained and conditioned in my system. It's a hard one to break free of, this relaxation and trust and all the negative feels, getting rid of guilt. And I just, I talk about this stuff because it's not because it's a true, I talk about this stuff not because it's something that's like really debilitating for me. I talk about it because I like revealing the human condition, because I feel like most humans really do struggle with this sort of stuff. And I'm hoping to relate and help you understand that we're not alone in these feelings, and just that we can shine the light on that shit, and the people that support each other and build each other up are just going to keep helping us call bullshit on our negative thoughts and move more to a place of kindness to one another instead of harshness. So that's why I do it. Not to be told, or not to have people feel bad for my little negative voices, my ego mind. I just do it to light that shit up, and hopefully we can just get rid of it. So that's all today. I give everyone a big big squeeze, my favorite side hug. And to those who resonate and to those that don't, I hug both sides because I really believe hugs would save the world. Have a beautiful day. Much love.